Hello again, and welcome to this program. We call it Nigeria and Politics. Today, even though we're talking about Nigeria and politics, we shall be looking at the politics of the oil industry in Nigeria. Are there security issues? What's the relationship between import and export when it comes to crude oil, when it comes to refined oil? We want to look at the advent of the private refinery, Dangote Refinery. Has it changed anything for the better or for the worst in Nigeria? There is now a competition. In other words, subsidy is gone. Can you import and sell at your own price? Or will you want to buy back home? Should refineries in Nigeria not buy crude oil in Nigeria? Should they import? They are into business and they have to make profit. They are not Father Christmas. But what are the security implications of all of this? Welcome once again. I have a gentleman who has seen it all, a chemical engineer. He has his master's in biotechnology, and he read that in State of Moscow University. We're talking of Russia, so to speak. He also worked with the Russian or Moscow State Refinery, having had that experience abroad. As a member of the diaspora, he felt he should come home. Back home, he worked with the Warri Refinery and Petrochemical Company. He's a specialist in synthetic and refining technology of oil and gas. He is a member of the Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry. He speaks Russian language, speaks French, English, and not forgetting where he started from, Amo language in Plateau State. He is a consultant with the Independent Petroleum Marketers of Nigeria, IPMAN. We'll discuss all of that. My name is Benjamin, and our guest, so celestially dressed, immaculately dressed, all white. I welcome Engineer Udya Mallum.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming to Third Eye TV Africa.
It's my pleasure.
Yes. Now talking oil and gas in Nigeria. Now let's have an overview of this sector in Nigeria. Are we getting it right this time around, now that we have seen the incoming of private refineries?
Well, let me start by saying thank you so much for having me. And it's always a big pleasure to speak about the oil and gas industry, which is the bedrock of our nation. Like we always say, Nigeria presently is the energy capital of Africa. And to prove this point is we have to commend the present government and all what they have done to make sure that the headquarters of the African Energy Bank is stationed in Nigeria, precisely Abuja. So my experience in this industry is a little more than 23 years, post-graduation experience. And I must say that for the first time, as a specialist in oil and gas refining technology, that Nigeria is a net exporter of petroleum products, which has drawn the attention of many people across the world. I have colleagues from Canada, colleagues from Brazil, India, asking us about what's going on, the progress that is happening in Nigeria, about the Dangote Refinery and other refineries, Boa Refinery, and others that are coming up. So I must say it is a very big achievement, not for Nigeria, but for Africa. Thank
No,
you.
yes. Engineer, you had reasons to work with a refinery in the state
Yes.
of Moscow,
Yes.
state-owned, so to speak.
Yes.
Now you have NNPC here, or there's now an CL now,
Yeah.
after the NNPCL. So names have changed, so to speak,
Sure.
but it appears we are still marking time.
Yeah.
Warri Refinery, Potokar Refinery, go to Kaduna Petrol Chemical, they all are marching on one step. Now, you worked with a Russian firm.
Yeah.
Don't know how close you were with Gazprom there, but let's compare what is obtainable over there and here.
Well, I must say, in most cases, people do ask. Like when I was working on my project, people wanted me to compare between the workings in the two countries. But I think the most important point I have to say here is the work ethics, the mentality. You know, from where I worked at the refinery, you can feel that the citizens of that refinery, whether citizens of that state or neighboring state in that country, had a sense of ownership while working in that refinery. And that is, you could feel the patriotism. You could feel people wanting to give to their country their utmost best. And I must say, I'm not trying to say we don't do that here, but I believe with more effort towards patriotism, I mean, having a sense of ownership in all these facilities, we'll be able to protect and we'll be able to have a sustainable energy security for our nation and by extension, Africa, which, there are many, many countries now that are even happier than Nigeria. I got a call from a colleague from Sao Tome and other close countries who feel importing from Nigeria, which is just about 2,000 kilometers, is just like buying something for free. They used to import from Asia, from South America, and Europe. So if we can give more of patriotism, build more of capacity, I think we'll go far. But before ending this question, I would like to say, in this part of the globe, if you ask a small business owner or somebody who is into big-time business, if you ask people what they need, the first thing they need to succeed in business, they will always tell you capital. But I did my research and found that the word capital the origin is originally from the word capitas in Latin, which means knowledge in your brain or in your head, you know. So I came to the conclusion that even if you are given $1 million, if you don't have the right mentality and you don't have the right knowledge, it will just sink. So that is a point I saw. They put more premium on your capacity. Yeah, when interviewing you, they ask you, what can you do? Not the certificates you have and what you tell them you can do, but just displaying your skills and your capacity is enough for you to employ. So I think we should go that route, and it will help us a long way.
Now, you see, on your return from Russia,
Yeah.
you picked up an employment with the Warrior Refinery,
Yeah.
and but we keep on hearing of turnaround maintenance, and it never ended. It's been there for a long time, even before Buhari could come. 8 years the same. Tinubu today, we're still hearing turnaround maintenance. So what really is the sickness worrying the refineries?
Well, I would like to speak like an engineer who spends most of his time in inside the refinery. Yeah. So, but most of the decisions are being taken at the administrative section of the refinery, and which is highly closely connected with the headquarters in Abuja, which is NNPC. So, but from my own observation, I would say Warri Refinery had one of the best and most capable local engineers, because for over 15 years, for example, we had the polypropylene plant, which didn't work. It was built by the Italians who left
What is that section supposed to do?
to produce polypropylene. Polypropylene is polymers that
Yes,
are used.
maybe as an example, so that the
Yeah.
Amo person will also understand, the Sholio
Yes.
person will go.
Yeah. It is, let me put it this way, the raw material you melt to produce any plastic product. Yeah, depending on what you want to produce. They are in form of pellets. You get them in a bag. If you want to produce, let's say, plastic buckets, you melt them, put the right mix of the necessary catalysts and all that, and you put them in a mold. So the raw material is called propylene. There are different types. We have the polypropylene, polyethylene, and so on. So the indigenous engineers, with myself inclusive, were able to restart the plant. So I don't think we are short of capacity, and I don't want to go into the politics of oil and gas, because, but what I will say in essence is that from my observation, some of the original equipment manufacturers were not available at the time of some of those turnaround maintenance. Some of them had changed. Maybe companies were sold to other owners and all that. But in a nutshell, I would say people did their best. The government did their best, but we can still do better. We can still do
Yes,
better.
in terms of doing better, you see, like when Kaduna Petrochemical was coming on board, you could hear Chiyoda,
Sure.
Japan or something.
Yeah.
And we borrow a leaf with the Ajaokuta Steel Rolling Mill.
Yeah.
When it started, truly, the secondary school I attended then in Kwara State, those who came in from USSR lived in our school compound.
Wow.
And we were told, oh, you are the leaders of tomorrow. This thing is coming to solve Nigerian problems, blah, blah, blah. Then there was this balkanization of the Russian USSR.
Yeah.
Many of the engineers came from Ukraine, some Lithuania, some Georgia. And so Ajaokuta also went that way. One would have also been thinking that Japan is still alive. And we're also expecting that Kaduna Refinery would have been on and doing well. But what really, even though you said we should leave the management, but let's look at the technical thing in there. Is it that there is no transfer of technology? When people come, when engineers come, they are not given, Nigerian engineers, they are not given rooms or hands to show what they can do, or they just go there and watch the white man or foreigner do his thing. And when he finishes, he goes with his technical know-how.
Well, let me come in here and answer it in a more broad way from other experiences that I've had in other sectors. You see, if you look at Nigeria has a lot of agreements, treaties, and partnerships that they've signed with many countries. We have one of the best policies one can find in the world. But when it comes to implementation, that is where we need to do more. I believe in signing agreements while building most of these refineries. There were clauses where technology transfer was indicated. And so, we have to show deliberate effort in wanting to get that technology. It is not a secret in the world that we learn from each other. At a point, China was nowhere to be found in terms of technology. They got technology transfer from Russia, from Japan, and many other places, and see where they are. Because from what I told you, the passion and the deliberate effort they put in learning, and like I said, they have a sense of ownership. They want to change their country for the better. And I think that is where we need to do more. In terms of capacity, Nigerian students or Nigerian professionals are among the best in the world. In terms of policies, we produce one of the best policy documents in the world. But I think implementation and passion needs to be upgraded somehow.
Okay. Now, let's look at the area of importation, exportation, for example, of crude.
Yeah.
If one has a barrel, for example, and is taking it out. Mm-hmm. Now, some people will say, at the point we were doing almost like trade by barter, you take crude out, they give you refined. Now, if I have a drum of crude oil, a barrel, so to speak, what are the basic contents in one barrel of crude oil?
Well, the basic products you get while refining, first of all, you get some light gases coming out, which we can use like our methane, our CNG and LNG, a lot of gases initially. Then the light products, petrol, kerosene, aviation oil, which we call Jet A1. We have bitumen and other residues. We have many, many of them. But these are the ones that the average citizen is aware of.
And so that is in a drum.
Sure.
Okay. So maybe this has to do with policy that you said we can jump. But one would have wondered why we would take all of that and dash out, only for us to just receive petrol in return.
Yeah.
It was like some people enjoyed more of the importation than just refining. Do you think Dangote has changed the business environment? Because here we are, government prices will go higher than that of private when it's supposed to be the reverse.
Like I said earlier on, to have a refinery that refines 650 barrels per day is not a child's play. It's among the biggest refineries in the world in terms of capacity. If you add the two refineries in Port Harcourt, the old and the new, the refinery in Warri, in Ekpan, the refinery in Kaduna, all these refineries owned by NNPC have a capacity of about 450 only. So having just one with 650 is, it's a game changer, and they are just starting. We shall see the benefits in years to come.
So
we used to import fertilizer. We used to import petrochemicals like polypropylene for our industries and many, many other things. But you see, many of the industries will now source these raw materials locally, and will save foreign exchange, will create jobs. And I think not just for Nigeria, before the commissioning of the refinery, we had close to 10 to 15 African presidents visiting that facility, which shows, like what I said, it's cheaper for them to import from Nigeria, which is just some few thousand kilometers, than to import from Europe. You could see some presidents from even the Caribbean coming to see. So it's a game changer, not for Nigeria, but for Africa. So we should be proud of the Dangote refinery. And more are coming. The more we have, BOA is coming. We have a lot of, sometimes we fail to mention the modular refineries, DuPont in Edo, Walter Smith and other ones. They might be producing as little as 5,000, processing 5,000 barrels a day, but if you aggregate, put their capacity together, it's quite significant. So I see Nigeria being a net exporter of petroleum products, of probably refining capacity of 2 million barrels a day or more in about 2-3 years.
So if you want to place, say, Dangote, for example,
yes,
in terms of the international arena, I mean, it's like it has become a rallying point for a good foreign policy relation?
Sure. I have friends with whom we've worked before, who are working in different refineries across the world. If you talk of in Canada, talk of some refineries in Europe, in Asia, the Middle East. And, we every day, when we interact, they always want to know the progress of the Dangote refinery because of its sheer size and strategic location. It has caught the eye of all stakeholders in the oil industry in the world. So we are in the world refining map right now, and we should be proud of that.
Now, we actually met soon after you made some contributions.
Yes.
At the Voice of Nigeria first ever dialogue, talking of citizens' engagement.
Yeah.
And you spoke so much about oil and gas and security implication. Time given to you was so short, 3 minutes. But let me expand it by maybe 5 minutes.
Okay.
What really were you trying to tell the world?
Well, like I said earlier, by virtue of our location, I mean Nigeria, and by virtue of our natural endowments in terms of resources, in Africa, we have the second largest oil reserves behind Libya. And in terms of natural gas, we're second behind Algeria. So we are, in terms of energy resources, we are a very strong stakeholder. But my contribution at the Voice of Nigeria Forum, which took place barely 48 hours, in the presence of the top security chiefs of this nation, from the National Security Advisor, the Chief of Defense Staff, and other security agencies. I wanted to know the role the media and the citizens will play in trying to make energy security sustainable. Like I said in my question, one of the biggest pillars of energy security is sustainability. Yes. Among the pillars is energy must be accessible, available.
Yes. I'll just put you on pause here.
Okay.
I can see my producer saying that we just go on a short break, and thereafter we'll come back and you continue with your thoughts. Energy, oil, security for Nigeria.
Thank you.
And when Ghana got their own oil, they said, look, we have to come and check what happened in Nigeria.
Yes.
Nigeria is a big school in terms of making mistakes.
Sure.
As they were saying, to avoid those mistakes. And thereafter, many other countries found their own crude oil.
Yeah.
Everyone will say, we want to study the mistakes of Nigeria, not the successes of Nigeria. Well, we'll come back so that you discuss all of that. And I'm talking of Engineer Udya Mallum. And of course, he's from Plateau State, right in Russia, worked in a refinery there, Moscow, in the state of Moscow, came to Nigeria here, worked with the Wari Petrochemical. He felt he should pull out. Today, he also as a kind of consultant for the IPMAN, Independent Petroleum Association of Nigeria. And so we'll discuss all of that. And my name is Ben Shama. Just a small break.
We're talking about South and the North. You talk about middle belt. Currently in Nigeria, we don't have middle belt. North Central is what we have. And they are included in the North. If the perception is because Nigeria is standing on a tripod, You have Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, they are the owners of Nigeria. That is a very wrong perception. These are major tribes in Nigeria. Simple.
Yeah.
Nigeria is owned by every single citizen of this country.
If you go to civilized nations, they possibly have, stratified their political parties such that those who play at the national level are there. And at the local level, you have other minor political parties playing there. And it gives sense of belonging to every citizen to be able to contest.
And in fact, once you have joined APC, all your sins are forgiven.
It's okay. It's okay. Off your mind. It's okay.
This is Third Eye Africa TV, exposing crime, savaging the nation.
Welcome back from this break. And so we're still discussing oil and gas and security. If we get it right politically, then every other thing will follow, so to speak. So still talking oil and gas in Nigeria. Are we in any way threatened? Are there risks? From your own connection with Russia, connection with Nigeria, the oil sector. I mean, how should we do it? How should we do it in a very safe manner?
Well, I think in every business there is a risk, and for every businessman, it's always very, very crucial to mitigate or even eliminate any risk that can hinder the progress of any business whatsoever. So I think we have a lot of solutions right now, more than 20 years back. Deployment of advanced technology now in our businesses. If we talk about in Nigeria, one of the major issues we have is our pipelines transporting either refined products or the crude oil from one point to another. So, but we have drones now that use artificial intelligence. We have the capacity right now to use some satellites to monitor our infrastructure. And also we have automated, most of our operations, unlike before, are automated. Yeah, there are refineries now that you can have just few people in. Everything is automated. You have people who just monitor from a screen, and if there is any issue, they see from the screen and they rectify it. So my candid advice as a patriotic citizen of this nation is for us to deploy technology which is applicable in other parts of the world. The successes we have with the Dangote refineries, they have the latest technologies in the industry, from their labs to their machines and so on. And that is why their products are of very high quality. If you see the sulfur content of their diesel or their PMS, their petrol, is I think up to European standard or any it's comparable, if not better than anyone I have seen across the world. I saw from one of their analysis that the sulfur content is even less than 50 ppm, that's parts per million, which is extremely good, extremely good. Yeah.
And so, okay, let's now put the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on a scale.
Yeah.
When it comes to his first 2 years and the next 2 years ahead. So looking backwards, how will you say he has fared?
Well, I must say, in some sectors, we have seen immense improvement, immense progress. Being the Minister of Petroleum, we have seen a lot of reform. We have seen the NNPC turned into a true business entity, profit-making entity during these last 2 years. And for the first time, I want us to take note of this. Before now, as a founding member of OPEC, Nigeria was always falling short of its quota of crude oil. Our supply was always short, But now I can confidently say that we even produce in excess. And I think the Nigerian upstream regulatory agency is doing a marvelous job by ramping up crude oil production through partnerships. And from the part of oil and gas, I can say this is one of the best periods I have seen since I became a professional, more than 23 years. So we have a bright future, and I wish Mr. President the best as he goes on to reform the oil and gas sector. And I must say the petroleum industry bill is really transforming the sector, So it's a good news. It's a win-win for the citizens.
Okay. Now, let's look at, you are a member of the Abuja Chamber of Commerce.
The energy trade.
Yes. And one would have, we look at the investment climate too in Abuja. Yeah. People would be talking about the industries. Where are the companies? When you say it's not, people will say it's not the hand of business or government's business to be in business.
Yeah.
It creates the environment for business to strive. But do you think there's the climate available?
Within Abuja, for any businessman, the first thing the person looks at is security. No one will invest where security is absent. So I must say that Abuja is quite safe for investments. And we are seeing a lot of investments in different sectors coming to the city of Abuja. What I would love our country to do is to take a leaf from what China is doing. In as much as government does not play a front role in business, but every state, every local government in China are promoting one business or one product or another. And it is the results are there for all of us to see why China has become the factory of the world. So with our very young population, security is improving. I believe with the right energy mix, we just talked about energy security, but I would like to see more of different kind of energy mix. In Nigeria, we just limit to hydro, limit to just using gas turbines to generate electricity. But countries like Kenya have gone far using thermal energy to generate solar. Our solar is coming up, but is still far from what we are expected to be. Wind energy and other very clean sources. So in a nutshell, I would like to say we are seeing a lot of investments coming into Abuja, and we must say thank you to the minister for the infrastructural upgrade he's doing. A lot of roads, a lot of other infrastructure like electricity and water, which we've witnessed him signing some MOUs with countries and companies, even within and outside Nigeria.
Huh?
Yes.
I can see that you are praising him. Some of his people say, look, every weekend or every week he has a press conference solely based on Fubara. It should leave Rivers alone. But then let's still look at you have this association and connection with Ipman.
Yeah.
I know. At the point, Ipman will hold the country almost hostage in terms of not supplying petrol or supplying petrol or agreeing or disagreeing on price and all that. What are the inner workings of Ipman?
Well, let me correct the impression that Ipman holds people hostage. You know, some things...
Because once they announce that there's going to be a strike or they're holding supply of, then prices of everything will just jump up.
Yeah, you know, our nation, we have this panic buying. Each time we hear about any foreseen circumstance coming, people begin to rush and that spikes prices. But let me say it categorically that Ipman has the interest of this nation, and Ipman has, I think, in the downstream and probably in the oil and gas, it has one of the largest memberships, over 50,000 members. Yeah, so it's a very critical part of the oil and gas, especially midstream, downstream. So in as much as they are businessmen, they love this nation, and I have no doubt about that. We were very, I mean, I myself was involved during the hearings, and we had our inputs together in terms, I mean, on the PIB, especially under the section of the midstream, downstream. Ipman did a lot. They had a strong input into it, and you know, if they didn't have good wishes for the nation, I don't think they would have done that. So let's put that impression aside. We, as all citizens of this nation, love our nation, and regardless of our challenges, we must work together and see that we progress. Yeah.
When you were talking about China, it sounded like you were saying in China, all eyes were on different products.
Yeah.
But in Nigeria, all eyes on petrol.
Yeah.
So how do we diversify it?
Well, we have been, I must say, we are grateful to God for blessing us with these oil and gas resources. But unlike other countries of the world, let me pick some in the Middle East, the UAE and Qatar. As of 1996, these were countries that were nothing. In the 70s, some used to come to Nigeria to get loans and some kind of help. But their approach to their natural resources is somehow different to ours. You know, they took the oil and gas resources and invested them in other sectors, in technology, in healthcare, agriculture, in banking, and so on. And the results are all for us to see. Their GDPs are among the highest in the world in just how many years? Just a few couple of decades. So what I want my nation to do, and I believe we have more than what these other countries I mentioned have. Nigeria has natural resources, that is number one. Apart from the oil and gas resources, we have minerals, that is mineral resources, which I think many countries do not have. And our land is very, very arable. You plant anything here, it germinates. I don't see why Russia and Ukraine, who with their temperate weather, they have winter from possibly end of October to around March, May, would be the number one and number two producers of wheat in the world. Our land is arable, and we can farm 247, 365. That is every day of the year. But in some of the countries, they have to wait until when the snow melts or when the weather is favorable. Some countries don't even have the rain, we have. So we need to look inwards. This is what we've been saying for a long time, right from independence. And what I'll have to say today is better late than never. We can make a difference. Thank you.
Yes, in terms of making this difference you're talking about, the Chief of Defense Staff, at the point when they said, look, the military, they're not doing enough, they're not doing this, they then said, look, in terms of who reveals to the terrorists that the military were coming or are coming? Who arranges to buy foodstuff from markets and take to them in the bushes? Who, again, look at the petrol industry, which we have been discussing. At the point, petrol tankers take full tanks. In the bushes, they dispense this. And that's why these people have this energy to still make some inroads somewhere. Because around the border, some kilometers to any border, all filling stations have been closed in Nigeria. Yet they get these supplies. And so, will one be right to begin to complain against it, man?
Well, this is not the problem of Ipman. From the beginning of this program, I made mention of one very important issue, and that is patriotism. The average Nigerian doesn't have a sense of ownership of this country. He doesn't feel he is the owner of this country, and that is why even if people are vandalizing a pipeline, he thinks it's for the government, it's not my business, which is supposed to be the other way around. You are part of the government. We are part of the government, and we have to support the government. We have a role to play as well, whether in terms of security, even those that cause havoc, whether the bandits or the terrorists, they look like us. They live amongst us. And so if we deprive them of information, deprive them of logistics and some critical supplies, I think it will die a natural death. Let me give you an instance of this patriotism I'm talking about. One of my classmates invited me for his wedding in one of the South Asian countries. And I was trying to bring out their currency to buy something, and mistakenly I folded, the currency was a bit folded, and his countenance immediately changed. We have been friends for more than 2 decades, but that was the first time I was seeing his mood change. And I was like, what's the problem? And he said, please, my friend, respect our currency. And I was shocked because, yeah, how we treat our currency, yeah, some put it in some places that is not right to mention. But that shows...
And we dance on it.
Yeah, some dance on it.
In the name of spraying.
Yeah, some do all manner of things, you know. If somebody can... my very close friend can get mad, not mad, but I could see he was not happy for just a little squeeze, which was not deliberate, of his country's currency. So do you think if I tamper with any of the infrastructure of the country, I don't think he's going to take it lightly. And that is where the word sense of ownership comes in. He believes the currency is his. The president of the country was not there, but he was there to defend it. And that approach should be stretched to every, social strata and to every, part of our society. We should own the country and things will get better. Mr. President will not come to supervise every infrastructure in this country. And if you vandalize any infrastructure, government will take money that is meant for hospital, for the roads, and come to repair it. So we're just trying to deprive ourselves of progress. So back to what I said earlier on, we have to be patriotic. And patriotism is not just by speaking. It is a practical word. Patriotism is practical. We have to show it. Thank you.
Okay. Let's make it practical. Let's show it. But in terms of liquid cash management, money, I mean, where the big politicians are, they always feel they have to move with money, deep hands in their pocket, fling it to the masses, they scramble, some get it done, you know. Why is it hard for the federal government, via the CBN, Central Bank of Nigeria, to ensure that we go really, cashless in such a way that little notes and coins are around the place? You go abroad, you collect these things. Some even come bring them home here like souvenir, looking strange, kind of. When did you see a coin last in Nigeria?
Well, I think that was possibly 18 years ago in Kano. Yeah.
And in Russia?
Every day.
So you look at that. Yeah. So why is it hard? And that's why when we move around with money, we invite the armed robbers.
Yeah.
We move around with money, we invite the kidnappers. If we make it hard to pay ransom, that thing will also reduce. So how do we come out of this?
Let me give an example of why Rwanda is making headlines as one of the least corrupt countries. You know, they have made it possible for most transactions to be cashless. If Rwanda can do that, country of about 15 million people, Nigeria has the capacity to implement that. Like what I said, our policies are brilliant. We have one of the best technocrats around the world. So let's be patriotic. Let's implement the policies that we have. If you go to the CBN, to the EFCC, you will see there are, fines or, penalties for violation of all this. But what happens? It means there's more work to be done. That's just what it means.
More work to be done. We've been discussing security, we've been discussing politics, we've been discussing the oil and gas sector in Nigeria. Above all, welfareism. And our guest has been Engineer Udya Mallum, who read in Nigeria here, went for his master's in Russia, worked in Russia petroleum industry, came to Nigeria, worked for the Nigerian petroleum industry. He's been able to juxtapose, put them side by side, so patriotism the other side. In our own case, there's still a question mark. How do we come out of this? That is always the crux of the matter. We've been talking with Engineer Udya Mallum. We thank you for coming to Third Eye Africa TV.
Thank you. Let me just make a little correction. I did all my studies from first degree to master's in Russia, and I must thank the federal government. I was among the few students that got a federal government scholarship to study, and from the first degree to master's, and that is why we have to, in anything I do, we always want to show our appreciation by action, not by words. And finally, I must say I was the first person in Nigeria and in Africa that brought in, as of 2004 and 5, a new technology that was able to restore engines without the need to disassemble them, using a mixture of doping elements and liquid metals being applied inside the internal combustion chambers of internal combustion engines, whether using diesel, petrol, or natural gas. So I had the recommendation of the then Minister of Transport during the Obasanjo administration, His Excellency Cornelius Adebayo, former governor of Kwara State, who was the Minister of Transport, and we introduced the technology, and I also mentored a lot of mechanics and engineers on how to diagnose an engine using a compression ratio tester, simply by just taking the compression ratio of the engine of the different cylinders. So in a nutshell, this is what we learned, and this is what Nigeria trained us to do, and we shall always give our best to Nigeria and to our fatherland as long as we live. Yeah, we can't continue blaming leaders. We are the leaders. They used to say tomorrow, but tomorrow is gone, today is here. So let's show our capacity as youth. Let's show our capacity as citizens of this country, and let's take ownership of this nation. And that's only when Nigeria can change. Let's be patriotic. Good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, and I hope you also have your own workshop so that
Sure.
so that you tell us, you show us what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
And it is here that we have to end this edition of the program, Nigeria and Politics. My name is Ben Shaman. As usual, the arena will be this same studio next time. Thank you very much for watching.